Hi, I'm Chris Carlson, and I'm here to show you how to get started with Wolfram Programming Cloud, an online development environment accessible from your browser where you can write and deploy programs in the Wolfram language. I'll show you how to get online, how to use the Programming Cloud interface, and how to write and deploy programs in the cloud. To get started, go to www.wolframcloud.com and click Wolfram Programming Cloud. You'll see the sign-in screen. If you don't already have an account, click Create Account to get one. Anyone can get a free Wolfram Cloud account with a basic level of access to the Programming Cloud. Sign into the cloud with your account name and password, and you should arrive at the home screen of the Wolfram Programming Cloud. The items on the left are resources and shortcuts to help you get to work. And the ones on the right are something similar to a file browser where you can manage your cloud objects. To get started writing code, click Create a new notebook. You can give the notebook a name by clicking here and typing the name. Notebook documents are where you write code in the Wolfram Programming Cloud. They're useful for a number of other things as well, like making presentations and testing code, but I'll focus on programming here. If you're familiar with Mathematica, you'll feel completely at home on cloud notebooks. If you aren't yet familiar with the Wolfram language, stick around. I'll show you how it works. You can use the Wolfram language in the cloud like a calculator, type an expression like 100 factorial, and evaluate it by typing shift return. You immediately get an answer. The input and output reside in cells, which are indicated by the brackets at the right. Hover over a bracket and you'll see a gear icon that you can click for a menu of operations useful for managing cells. There are lots of kinds of cells which you can mix freely with inputs and outputs to document your work and give structure to your calculations. Add a text cell to a document by clicking the input tongue and selecting plain text. Add title and section tells to structure your notebook. The cloud interface has a lot of helpful features that help you find your way around the Wolfram language, like this toolbar that appears after you do an evaluation. It's called the Suggestions bar, and it contains operations you might want to do next on the output you just got. It helps you get work done quickly and learn the Wolfram language. If you click, for example, prime factorization, it will not only give you the prime factors of this huge number, but also show you what you could have typed to get the same result in the Wolfram language. Now you know that factor integer is the function that gives you the prime factors of a number, and that you apply the function using square brackets. So you can type factor integer 100 and shift return to get the prime factors of 100, namely 2 2s and 2 5s. If you don't want to see the suggestions bar, click the X at the right to minimize it. You can always get it back again by clicking the arrow. For those of you who are completely new to the Wolfram language, you don't have to know the specifics of Wolfram language syntax to get something done. You can program using natural language. For example, to enter today's date, type Control equal and today. When you evaluate that expression, it will turn into what you could have typed with exact Wolfram language syntax to specify today's date. You can use natural language input right in the middle of calculations. Say you want to know the number of days since the beginning of the year. Type Control equal today, right arrow, minus Control equal January 1st, and then Shift Enter to evaluate. You can click the Wolfram language expressions to extract them. There are several code assist features in the cloud interface that help you use Wolfram language functions. When you start typing a function name, a completion menu pops up with likely names that you intend to type. Type return to complete the function name with the item selected in the menu, or click the name you want. Click the down arrows that pop up next to a function name to select an argument template. And then type the arguments using Tab to advance to the next placeholder. You can get complete documentation for a function by hovering over the function name and clicking the I. The documentation appears in a pane to the right of the notebook. You can work with the notebook and the documentation pane side by side for quick access to function descriptions. The easiest way to learn the Wolfram language is to copy and paste examples from the documentation to try things out. You can explore by editing the example inputs and re-evaluating. A faster way to do the same kind of exploration is to use manipulate to make an example interactive. Wrap the expression with manipulate, replace the value you want to explore with a variable, t in this case, and specify the range of the variable. Now you have an interactive widget that you can use to quickly explore variations in the example code. You can get a lot of work done just by evaluating these kinds of simple one-line expressions of built-in functions. But the real power of the Wolfram language comes into play when you define your own functions. Here's how to make a function that returns how many days ago a particular date was. I'll call the function days ago and give it an argument of date. And I'll define that to mean today minus date. Evaluate that definition with shift return, and now you can use the function by invoking it with a particular date. For example, days ago, January 1st. Now let's make that function available to the world by deploying it to the cloud. Type cloud deploy form function, specify that the argument date is a date, and make the deployment call the function days ago with a date argument. When you evaluate cloud deploy, you get a cloud object. Click the link in the cloud object, and you get a form where you can enter a date and get the result. The form contains smart fields. You can enter a date in any common format. If you enter something that's not a date, it'll complain. You can make a function that evaluates directly without the intervention of a form by using API function instead of form function. You call this function by specifying the date as a query string in the URL. You can also call this cloud function programmatically from the Wolfram language using URL execute. And you can do it anywhere, in the cloud or from the desktop. I'm going to switch to Wolfram Desktop and call this cloud function from there. Type URL execute, give it the cloud object, and specify the date. So now you have a function that lives in the cloud but can be used in Wolfram language programs just like any other function. In fact, you can call this cloud function from just about any programming environment. To call the function from Python, for example, evaluate embed code cloud object Python. You'll get the Python code that you can drop into your project to call the function. You can also put computed content on web pages using Cloud Deploy. Here's a web API that gives the current temperature. Visit the link and you'll see the current temperature. Right now, this is a private API accessible only to me, but you can make it accessible to the world by adding public permissions. To embed this on a web page, you apply embed code to the cloud object. Copy the HTML expression in the output and paste it into the HTML source for your web page. When you open the web page in a browser, it shows the current temperature at the location of the visitor. The embed code gives the default size for the iframe and frame style. You can edit that to improve the appearance of the page. So now you know how to get online, how to write a simple Wolfram language program, and how to deploy it in the cloud. The notebooks and cloud objects I've been working with are listed in the Cloud Files browser on the right. Under Home, you'll see the notebook we've been working on. And under Deployments, Instant Web Forms, you'll see the web form that I deployed. If you hover over an item, you'll see the gear that pops up a menu of items like Delete for managing objects. You can track your cloud usage in the Usage dashboard accessible from the Wolfram Programming Cloud homepage. It shows you how you've used your cloud credits and how many you have left. You can learn more about the Wolfram language and what you can do in the Wolfram Programming Cloud by visiting the Wolfram language examples that are linked from the Wolfram Programming Cloud homepage. Each example contains Wolfram language code and an explanation of how it works. You can try out the code yourself in your cloud account by clicking the Open Live Version button at the top. For help with Wolfram language questions, try visiting the Wolfram community page, which is also linked from the Wolfram Programming Cloud homepage. Community is a group of over 4,500 people, and growing, who discuss Wolfram language and other Wolfram technology issues. Members can often answer questions, and you'll also find lots of interesting applications of the Wolfram language here. If you try out the Wolfram Programming Cloud, let us know how you like it by sending a message with the feedback button. I hope you enjoy exploring. You can do incredible things with the Wolfram language, and now that it's in the cloud, it's easier than it ever has been to use. Let us know what great things you do.